All right, good afternoon. It is Friday, about 1 o'clock, and that means it's time for a little bit of a emotional mastery. Today, we're going to be talking about how to prospect like a grizzled veteran and manage your pipeline and create a business that will provide you consistent income on a regular basis if you do things the right way. Guess what? It's time to own the phone. Howdy, howdy, howdy. How's everybody doing today? So today, we are going to go ahead and we're going to start talking about how to prospect like a grizzled veteran. I'm excited about this. And let me just, I should have probably open that all the way. Please forgive me. You're here for the information and not for my technological advancements, right? So anyway, good to see everybody today. Actually, let me change this view a little bit so you can see more of that and less of me. There we go. All right, cool. So here's the deal. August 6th, 1991, the then World Wide Web was made available to the general public. So about 31 years ago. Hey, thank you very much. And that's the truth. I've been working on about 31 pounds down last month. So thanks for noticing. Very kind of you. But very sweet of you. Thank you. Whoever did it, I'll see your name afterwards. So thank you. August 6, 1991, the World Wide Web, as we know it, was made available to the general public. About 1995, the pundits were like, you'll never buy or sell anything by meeting somebody ever again. You're going to go ahead and actually 100% deal with, things over the internet. Here we are 31 years and 2 months later, at least, and you are still needing to go and meet with people to buy things. Granted, the insurance industry, the travel industry, legal services, a lot of that stuff got squashed by the internet, but buying a house, complex sales, buying a car, things like that, people are still meeting with somebody. And the fact of the matter is, and we talked about this last week, here's the thing. More than roughly 50% of every age group, so millennials, Gen X, baby boomers, want to talk to somebody before making a purchase, right? So a big purchase, more than $1,000. And so if that's the case, what are you going to do to go ahead and make sure you're able to get on the phone, build a pipeline, and really grow your business accordingly? And so that's what we're here today to do. I'm sorry about this. I want to do this so that you can read everything because I can't even read it. So, so here's the thing, like you have to be able to get on the phone and talk to somebody. And look, you've got all these people who are experts, on the internet and on social media, and they're like, oh, just do social media, talk to your past clients in Sphere, and that's for just about a lot of businesses. And there's no question that you have to do social media, okay? You have to have a social media presence in this world to be successful. But the fact of the matter is that if you can't get somebody from the front door, which is where you're taking them on social media, to come and meet with you and have a conversation with you, then all is lost, okay? So you need to be able to have conversations with people and give them a compelling reason to work with you. Right, we still, even though the number of real estate agents, especially industry, has started to dwindle, we're still almost 1.6 million realtors and 2 million real estate agents in the country. Okay, you still have to differentiate yourself from people. So today, I'm going to give you my lock, stock, and barrel, everything you'd ever need to know about mastering the phone and prospecting. Please go ahead and send some questions along the way, but let's get started. So clearly, mindset is super important, right? Tony Robbins talks about getting in state. He said you should be able to work it so that you can get in state immediately. If you have call reluctance, you can go to my website, phonesalesecrets.com. You can sign up for a 15-minute session with me. I'll be more than happy to go ahead and give you access to me for 15 minutes, whatever you need. So I'll put that right at the bottom there, though. So anyway, here's the deal. You've got to get yourself in state. You've got to be ready. There's no sense in getting on the phone until you're ready to do something. And it's not like you can just jump and run and bail if you can't get yourself in the right state of mind. You really have to go ahead and make sure you can get yourself in the right state of mind. So whatever that looks like, you got to do it. Tony Robbins says, and I'll just use Tony here again, he says, you see the triad, he draws a triangle. He says, these are the three elements of state and emotional management. I got to slow down here. The three elements of state and emotional management: your focus, which is one leg of the triangle, your language, what you're saying to yourself, and then your physiology. And in his estimation, it makes sense. Your physiology is really what drives everything else. If you're ever sick or not feeling good, then it's going to impact how you feel, what you're going to do, right? If you're powerful and empowering and you're in state and standing up, and we're going to talk about that, your breathing is good and you're focused on doing some great things for other people, that it's going to be good. So make sure you've got a little bit of a ritual to get yourself in state, whether it's music. I used to watch comedy. I would call my mom sometimes to talk to her, but I always did what I could to get in state, and it worked for me. You probably heard this before, but I sold 72 houses my first 14 months in the business. So obviously it was with the right organization. I got a tremendous amount of training. It wasn't all me, but the fact of the matter is that, I really worked hard on making sure that I was ready to get on the phone. So let's talk a little bit more about focus. Let's talk a little bit more about those three things. So what are you focusing on, right? Helping other people and their needs, meeting their needs. What's my outcome? What's my mission? The mission for every phone call is to do one of three things: set an appointment, 2, create a nurture, or to get them off of your list, because they are definitely not good opportunities. A not good opportunity, in my opinion, is somebody who's already bought a house, or somebody that died, or somebody that decided to work with somebody else and has inked that relationship in contract. Okay. So other than that, fair game. Next, verbal communication, verbal, nonverbal, right? Nonverbal communication is 93% of it. You control your physiology. You control your ability to build rapport through your tone of voice. Okay. Do you sound upbeat? Do you sound confident? Are you dialed in? Are you going to be using empathy when you're talking to people? Right? You're looking to build relationships. And most importantly, I'm really good at what I do. Ever want to find out what your competition is like? Go ahead and just call a couple of them and make pretend you're a buyer, or have somebody else call and make pretend you're a buyer and have them talk to you. And it's insane. People, you can call people. And I used to call the competition all the time. I would call and say, I just sold a business. I got $2 million. I'm looking to pay cash. I got to move in 60 days. And people, will, who are answering the phone, the real estate agents, they'll tell me anything I want to know about a house. They won't even ask me my name. They won't ask me my phone number. Your competition is not that good. So if you can just manage to do these things and follow a good script, you'll be in really, really good shape. So somebody here says, that's what I need to do. It says, that's what I need is voice control. So, there's some great things that you can do about this. And, yeah, right, exactly. And so in Mastering Influence, which is a great program, I can't see your names, which sucks. So Tony Robbins talks about how to manage your state and how to build relationships with people and how to use tonality and pace and volume and whatnot to your benefit. Now, look, I'm not sure who this is. I apologize, but here's the thing: you can sometimes hear if you're not confident or nervous. But the fact of the matter is that the person on the other end of the phone has no clue what you're supposed to say or even what you're supposed to sound like. And honestly, in addition to role playing, the only way to get better on the phone is to, hey, JR. So the only way to get better on the phone is to actually go ahead and just get on the phone and get your teeth kicked in a little bit. You know what I'm saying? There's no shortage of leads in the real estate industry, especially. Does that make sense? There's really no shortage of leads anywhere. So you can get on the phone, you can make a mistake. And the fact of the matter is this real estate, especially as a business where you can actually learn and still make money. I hope that makes sense. Lots of people have no clue what they're doing that are still getting paychecks. So I think if you take that for checking and give it a whirl, you'll see that it can still work for you. Next thing, what's your language? What are you saying to yourself, right? So look, my calls are going to go well. I'm going to be a good listener. I'm great at what I do and people want to work with me. If people reject me, it's not about me. It's never about you, right? My theory of Brussels sprouts, right? We're all Brussels sprouts. Some people love Brussels sprouts. Some other people do not like them. The fact of the matter is that any vegetable you got to cook in bacon, oil, and onions and put the crispiness on can't be that tasty by itself, right? So, but the fact of the matter is some people like them, some people don't, but it's not the Brussels sprout, it's us. Some people just aren't going to like you, and it's okay. Okay? I'm looking for 1 or 2 people I can help, and I'm so excited, right? There's a difference between excited and nervous. And there's certainly a portion of anxiety and nervousness that could be viewed as excitement. I think you just have to be able to form that in your head. And then the last thing, what is your physiology? Right? You should be standing when you prospect, right? Your energy is different when you're standing. You get bigger breaths, deeper breaths, impacts the quality of your voice. My man, Ruben, what's up, brother? All right, all that stuff, really impacts, your ability to project your voice and sound confident. And your physiology is going to impact your tonality, which is then going to impact your results on the phone, right? You get on the phone, you're like, oh, hey, this is Wally. And the reason I'm calling is like you were looking for a home and I was just calling to find out what you're looking for. No, fake it till you make it. Hey, this is Wally calling. You had submitted a request for information about buying a home. It looks like you're on our website looking for homes in San Diego, 5 bedrooms, 3 baths. Hey, tell me, are you looking to buy a home now, or are you actually just window shopping? Right? That's a script. I don't sound scripted. A lot of you, I don't want to sound scripted. That's a script. But you sound enthusiastic. You sound like you're in control. And that's kind of what Jordan Belfort wants you to do, right? Enthusiastic as hell, sharp as a tack, sound like somebody who's a force to be reckoned with, sound like you're in charge. Okay, and so JR, these are things you can fake until you make, if you will. You can fake it until you make it because nobody knows what you're supposed to say. Nobody knows how you're supposed to sound. And you can hop on the phone. And here's the thing, hanging up is really just feedback. Click, okay, well, you know what? Here's what I have to work on. If you don't listen to your calls, you're missing the boat. One of the best things you can do to go ahead and improve your skill set is to listen to your phone calls. Now, look, you're not going to like the sound of your voice because when we talk, we hear our voice from inside, right? We don't hear from the outside. So we finally hear from the outside. We're like, that's us. That's you, but that's okay. That's how you sound, and it's not a big deal. But if you're willing to step out and be a little uncomfortable and listen to your voice and what you're saying, when you hear yourself say things that you shouldn't say, it's going to register emotionally. It's going to register physically, and then you're not going to go ahead and likely say those things again. It's really the best way and the shortest distance between you and making better phone calls. Have the coglions, the ganas, whatever you want to call it. Have the balls, if you will, to be willing to listen to your calls and learn. Because I'm telling you, that will collapse time immensely. And when you hear that you're not supposed to say things a certain way, or you hear something, you'll make that change, and you'll make that change for good. Okay. Now, next thing, you got to have a plan. Nothing kills momentum. Nothing kills excitement. Nothing kills success more than not having a plan. Disorganization is a momentum killer. Not knowing where you're going is a momentum killer, right? So always know who you're going to be calling. New leads, past clients in sphere, nurtures, referrals, it doesn't matter. Always know who you're going to be calling, okay? Next, have scripts and dialogues and know what you're going to say. They're going to keep you on track. Have readily available responses. You're controlling conversations. The reason we use scripts is because we want to take people down a path so we can lead them to where we want them to go. Folks who have sales call reluctance, like, I don't like getting called from people. I don't like using scripts. I don't want to sound scripted. I don't want to sound like a robot. All of that's in your control, right? We use scripts all the time. All the time, every day, we say the same thing to our clients. That's a script. And the best way to use it is to internalize it through role playing by getting on the phone and saying it. If you do it enough, it'll work to your advantage. There was a scientist, I think he was a Swedish scientist, his last name was Perkinji. What he determined is that the same part of the brain where that muscle memory is for physical activities, dancing, sports, anything like that, is the same part of the brain that allows you to improve your skill set and your muscle memory with cerebral activities like remembering things and internalizing things. And so the more you do something on a consistent basis, the more your brain is going to aid you in being more successful in internalizing things. So it makes those things happen for you. Okay. So, stay on track, use those scripts, internalize them. I still put them in front of me when I make calls today for the most part, because there's always something that I don't remember because there's so much of it, right? Have time called scheduled ahead of time and do not miss it, right? Keller Williams says as a philosophy that if you erase it, replace it. Okay. If you erase it, replace it. It's in your calendar for a reason. John Cheplack, you guys know he is really, really good coach. He says it's not time blocking, it's priorities blocking. It's not time management, it's priorities management. You put it in your calendar, because you thought it was worthy of a time block. If you put it in your calendar, it's meant to be there and you got to follow it. Okay, you've got to treat your prospecting like a date with your significant other, like going to your kid's play, like going to the doctor. It's got to be that important. Okay, and if you can't get your head around that, again, I'll roll this here for a second. I will help you understand why you can't keep a calendar, or why you can't reach your goals, or why you can't pick up the phone. There's a reason, and if we talk for 10 or 15 minutes, I can help you. Go to my website. That's rolling at the bottom. You can get 15 minutes, no cost with me. Just chat with me. I'm not going to sell you anything. We're just going to have a conversation. So anyway, whole point is that you need to treat your time blocks like they are the most important things in your calendar. Now, somebody comes into town and says, hey, the only time that I can go see this house is during 10 a.m. You're like, crap, I got prospecting during that time. The first thing you say to them is, hey, I'm busy at that moment. I've got that time blocked off for something that I have to do. What other times can you go meet? Or I can meet at 6, I can meet at 4. And they're like, geez, we're only going to be in town for 2 hours and we're going to spend an hour doing that. Well, don't be a knucklehead. Help them out, right? I mean, that makes sense. But you got to put it back in your calendar, okay? if you didn't reach your goals this year, if your business is significantly up and down, if you have fits and starts and you get those big swings in your business, it's because you're not building a pipeline and because you're not prospecting enough, okay? And that can be past clients in Sphere, it could be new people, but the only thing that solves a lack of consistency in business is you calling on a consistent basis on top of all the other things that you do, okay? Also, be in a place without interruptions, be in a place where you can stay hydrated, be in a place where you can stand and sit to call, right? You've got to make it that you're locking and loading. This is like, I mean, if you were a golfer, you would be, I don't know, you'd be, chipping onto the green for, par or for birdie. I'm saying? This is your job. Line cooks, they cook food. Chefs, they run kitchens, and whatever anybody else does in another industry is what they do to make money. This is how you begin the money-making process. Okay, so in what order would I call my leads every day? Well, speed to lead is probably one of the most important aspects of being successful, and not just catching somebody, but also being the first person who has a good shot at getting to work with you. All the data from the National Association of Realtors every year says somewhere between 75 and 80% of the people who work with a real estate agent work with the first person that contacts them. And that's both listing and buy side. Okay, people tell you that they may want to be able to interview somebody else, but that's not always the case if you can make a good impact. Okay, so call all your new leads first, speed to lead, create that relationship, and then nurturing them, right? So the next you call your nurtures next. Okay, I'm going to down here, we're going to kind of go over what a nurture is, but you want to call the people you've built relationships with next. Ruben Calderon, he's up at Tom Dave's office in Sacramento. I'm not sure if he's still here or not, but he sets 5, 6, 7 appointments a week, and a lot of those are from people that he's been speaking with and having conversations with on a day over day, week over week, month over month basis. They start to like him. They want to hear from him. They recognize his voice. They recognize his phone number, and because of that, they're more likely to pick up the phone. And then when they're ready to do something, they're actually going to go ahead and talk to him so they can move forward. Right? Nurtured leads, they move faster and they make bigger purchases. And here's the reason why. Most people underestimate how long it's going to take for a real estate transaction to occur, and they overestimate how long it's going to take a real estate transaction to occur, and then they underestimate how much money they're going to need for it. Right? Very few people drive by a house and say, "Oh my God, that house is beautiful," and hear about the price and say, "Oh, I knew it was that much." Most people are like, "Whoa, wait a second, that boy, 31 this month, my man." On day 21, good job, Ruben. I love it. Man, Ruben's awesome, by the way, folks. He can kill it. So anyway, my point is here is that, when you talk to somebody and nurture a relationship with them, you can help move them along faster because you can tell them exactly what they need to do to make it happen. In addition to that, because there's a trust factor there, because you can lead them to their own conclusion, you can help them in many cases make a better purchase that may require them to spend more money, but is going to take care of their needs at a much higher level. But without that relationship, it's hard to get that to happen. All right, now, if you can use a dialer, use a dialer. Even if it's a single line dialer is going to make more phone calls and make more connections than if you hand dialed yourself. After you do all those three things. So you do your new leads first, call your nurtures next, and then let's do call campaigns, right? So use a dialer, past expireds, old expireds, right? Nurtures you haven't been able to contact with, old buyer leads, any other group of leads, old FSBOs that have been around for a while. You want to get through these old buyer leads. Doesn't really matter. You want to be able to make lots of contact with people, and then the dialer is really going to help you affect that for sure. And then end of day, set aside a half hour at the end of the day to try and catch people who you haven't been able to connect with. All right. I mean, it's super important that just checking my time here. It's super important that you reach out to people. Like, if there's a house that's expired that's in a great neighborhood where you want to make inroads, where you've got great relationships, it's worth a second call at the end of the day. If you've got somebody who called you and you've called them back 3 times, it's worth it to put some time at the end of the day to find them. Listen, I'll go knock on a dang door if I have to, right? If I think something's an amazing opportunity and I want to make inroads in a neighborhood, or I feel like I'm becoming the king or queen of the neighborhood, I'll go pound on somebody's door, right? Bring a market report with them and say, hey, I tried to call you, I couldn't get in touch with you. Your home's not on the market anymore, right? Yeah, I got 50 calls today. Yeah, I totally get it. That's why I want to stop by. I want to be different. I know why your home didn't sell, and I'd love to spend 5 or 10 minutes with you explaining why it didn't sell and what you should do differently to get it sold this time. When would be a good time for us to do that? Okay. But the point is you've got to have that mentality that I'm going to get in touch with them. And, it's like list with me, list with somebody else or die. Buy with me, buy with somebody else or die. That's the mentality of the top agents in the marketplace. Okay. Listen, don't be fooled. Okay. Those people that are on social media or business owners or team leaders that say that they're killing it, they're only killing it because at some point they got on the phone and called and prospected like a madman or a madwoman. There's a small segment of society in the real estate industry where people have tons of great connections and a ton of referral business where it's easy for them. But that is that is not the norm. My man Sean Salas, yes, they can hear you smile. And for the record, this is really important, by the way. People have already figured out what you look like within 4 seconds, not just what you sound like, what you look like, right? You call the help desk somewhere and somebody's from a foreign country, you're already thinking they're Filipino or Indian or something like that. You call up north and they talk fast and they're gruff. Yeah, well, or you call a place and they talk fast and they're gruff and they've got like a northern accent, you're thinking Yankee if you're from Texas. Somebody calls somewhere in the South and the person talks slowly, oh, they're redneck, whatever it is. The whole point is people have you sized up within 4 seconds, and your smile and everything else you're doing to control the narrative really helps you impact how they're going to perceive you and receive you. So thank you very much for that. Now, right, that which can be tracked can be improved, right? So you need to track your dials, your contacts, your nurtures, your appointments set, your appointments kept, and your sales. You got to track all that. Okay, I have a tracker. If you want to go ahead and just put tracker in the notes, I'll be more than happy to either post it with this video, or if you just want to put tracker, I can probably attach it to you in Google, in Facebook DM. But if you're not tracking, you cannot fix what's wrong. You cannot improve your skill set. You cannot improve the process. And here's what I mean. If you're making dials, but you're not making a lot of contacts, you're calling the wrong data set, you're calling at the wrong time of day, you're not making enough dials, it could be one of those things. You're making contacts, but you're not setting appointments. Again, could be a bad data set, could be your scripts over the phone. You're setting appointments with people who aren't showing up. It could be a lot of things. One of the things it could be is that you're really not doing a great job of giving these people a strong reason to get and come and see you. Like, you want them to feel like you've got $10,000 of cash to give them, that it's that important for them to come here. Okay. People are keeping appointments, but they're not buying. You could be bringing unmotivated people in to go ahead and work with you. Or maybe you're just not managing expectations the way you should. So if we know what the numbers are, we can look at them. 30 days gives us a good idea. 60 days really helps us understand, and 90 days of data will tell us exactly what you're doing well and not doing well. Here's the other byproduct of this. The more people you call, the more contacts you have, the better you get, the fewer people you need to talk to get an appointment and an opportunity, right? Everybody here has a conversion, a data set for their conversion. How many leads they need, how many people they need to talk to, how many dials they need to make, how many appointments they need to set, how many clients they need, right? Success in any commission sales job or any sales job is a mathematical equation. And once you know your mathematical equation, you can put in the right amount of effort. And if that effort and skill set improves, then your newer numbers are usually better, right? We don't want to talk to more people. We might want to talk to fewer people to make things happen, okay? So this is how you do that. Look, so here's my thought about the emails, like voicemails. If you're going to call somebody you don't know, this is what you say. Oh, hey, it's Wally. How are you? It looks like I missed you. Hey, give me a call back, 214-334-1356. You will get calls back. How many times have you called somebody in error and they called you right back because they wanted to see you called? You call somebody and say, hey, it's Wally Bressler from ABC Realty, and you had submitted a request for buying a home in Dallas, and I was just calling you to get back to you, see what time you want to get together to go see the house. I'm probably going to delete it before you even get there. So, super important that if you're going to call somebody you don't know, you just call and say, hey, this is Wally. What's your name? But, hey, this is Wally. Look, it looks like I missed you. I'm sorry. Give me a call back. They will call you back quite frequently. If you know the person, if you're building relationships with them, if you're nurturing leads, absolutely leave messages and stay in touch with them. In many cases, especially when you're nurturing a lead, a message is almost as effective as a phone call, just to let them know you're continuing to stay in touch with them. Here's the thing, folks. Most real estate agents make 2 contact attempts, right? The minimum number you need to make inroads with somebody on average is usually 6 contact attempts to 8. Sometimes it goes as high as 18, right? But if you're only doing 2 or 3 contact attempts, you're not even you haven't even gotten to the bottom end of things. So just kind of take that for checking, okay? All right, part 2 here. So according to InsideSales.com, and this is, if you're talking to somebody, in order to make a strong effort to get good results, you want to make 10 contact attempts in the first 14 days once you get a lead. All right, so calls, text, emails, you can mix it up. I would probably think it's probably 6 calls, 2 texts, 2 emails, or 6 calls. You want to do another one, 6 calls, 3 texts, 2 emails, whatever. but it's got to be predominantly calls, okay? And the reason that is that everybody's texting and emailing. There's no differentiation factor there. All right. And then after you get to that, you'll move them to one time a week for a month. And then after that, you'll put them on a 30-day rotatio, which should have been rotation. I apologize for the spelling error there. And then, add in calls and drip campaigns. Now, you guys all have CRMs of some level. So everybody should have some sort of technology that will allow you to go ahead and put a drip campaign, a dollar campaign in. I mean, Follow Up Boss says it's plans. Everybody and their uncle has a drip plan. You can get that going as soon as you reach out to them, but make sure that you have the calls involved in there, okay? Now, look, here's 3 things that can happen with a call, and every one of them is okay. You can call them and make no contact. You can move the lead to the next prospecting session, okay? Right? You not make contact, and you can basically make no contacts and notes. You can move the lead to the next prospecting session. You can make contact, determine timing, motivation. If they're ready, set an appointment. If not, make a nurture, and then set up and then basically for the appointment, if you're going to set an appointment, these are the criteria that we want, okay? Number 1, they're moving in 90 days or less, right? They've got a life event as their motivation, birth, death, marriage, divorce, all of these things. We want, especially in this market, ladies and gentlemen, we don't want tire kickers. We don't want people who are just taking a flyer to go find a house. Like, this is not the kind of market where we can do that anymore. We can't just price houses at whatever price we think they're going to sell at, overprice them and hope we're going to get offers. We can't let buyers go out there and just run around and make stupid offers. Okay, we're not there anymore. You want to take people out that are having a home to sell. I mean, you want to take people out there looking to buy that have a life event, or sell that have a life event, right? If they own a home, they've got equity, they're buying, they have money in financing. And by the way, virtually everybody has equity in their home now. Okay, the market alone between February of 2020 and July of 2022 went up almost 32% across the country. Even with the market having gone down 10 to 15% in most markets, people still have a decent amount of equity, okay? Now, and then for a nurture, the deal is they're moving in more than 90 days and up to a year. They don't have an agent relationship. They're open to working with you, and you've got good contact information. So proper name, by the way, the proper pronunciation, right? The United States is still a melting pot. We've got people from other countries who have names that neither sound masculine nor feminine. Make sure you identify the pronunciation and whether it's a man or a woman. Good phone number, good email, and if it's a listing, proper address. And then good follow-up time frame, right? You're calling somebody. This is really the crux of nurturing here, right? And you're going to call, you're going to identify timing and motivation. And if it's a nurture, you're going to mark in and if you can set an actual next action date for the buy sell date. But you also want to set a next action date for when you're going to call them. And that's going to be half the time, and then you're going to walk it back a little more. So if somebody's 6 months away, I'm probably going to call them in 2.5 months, right? Somebody's 4 months away, I'm probably going to call them in a month. And then from there, probably a couple times a month after that. And the closer you get, the more you call them. Listen, you are not going to hammer somebody or make somebody feel like they're being stalked if you call somebody consistently and you're early. I've never had somebody yell at me for calling early, right? But once you're late, it's game over. You are SOL. Sorry, you're out of luck, right? So be consistent and make sure you call early, okay? The other thing is if it's a listing, go ahead and send a handwritten note to them, okay? Put your business card in there. Hey, it was great to speak with you about your home. If you need anything or if you have any questions about the real estate market, you're always welcome to give me a call and send that to them. That'll really differentiate you. A lot of people like to send magnetic business cards because people like to put stuff on them. And for God's sakes, I was a real estate agent. My mother passed away in 2008, but I was a real estate agent, pretty much for the entire time that she, from the time I got my license in 98 until she died in 2008. And I would go into her house and she would have Boston Red Sox, schedules on a refrigerator and other agents' names. And I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? Oh, I just and I would go and just clear a refrigerator. So what a magnet. Good stuff. Okay. And then make sure you keep good notes. Okay. And so you're going to call them, you're going to talk to them, you're going to make them a nurture, you're going to get an appointment, or you're going to get them off your list. Okay. Keeping good notes is important, right? Now, one of the things that you do in progressive profiling is you keep what we call an OUI, which is one unique piece of information. Okay. And what I mean by that is and this is because people are like, what do I talk to me about when I call? Right? What do I say? So I'll just kind of take you through a conversation. So I call Bob, right? And so Bob had submitted a request for buying a home. And I call Bob and I find out that he's a nurture. He's a year away from buying a home. No problem. And, I'll find out that Bob is waiting a year because his daughter's getting married in 9 months. He needs to have money for the house, wants to get her out of the house, whatever, no problem. So Bob's daughter's getting married and he wants to, wait, no problem. So we're a year away, and I call 4 months later. Hey, Bob, it's Wally. How you doing? Great to talk to you. We talked a while back. You were looking for homes in Tuscaloosa. Just checking in to see how things are going for you. Your daughter's getting married soon. You must be excited about that. Hey, by the way, where are they going on their honeymoon? Cool, nice. Is this the only child you have gotten married before? Let Bob talk, blah, blah, blah. Ask people about their kids. They'll talk all day long. Super, no problem. So basically, we're still on track for, 7 months from now. Absolutely, we are. Okay, super. Well, look, good luck at the wedding. We'll talk to you soon. So now we're 7 months away. I cut it in half again. I called probably in 2.5, 3 months. So we're probably still wedding time at this time. But I call back. Hey, Bob, just checking in again. How are the wedding plans going? Hey, by the way, I don't know if you know this. My honeymoon was on a cruise too. Tell your kids to do this, and this. I think they'll find a lot of enjoyment in that. And here's where you can get discounts and all this other stuff. Oh, thanks. That's cool. Super. By the way, we're getting closer. You need anything about, getting your house ready for sale? You need like a home prep catalog, anything like that? Okay, cool, great. Cut it in half. Now we're so many months away. The wedding's already happened. Hey, how was the wedding? Oh, it must have been great. Tell me about it. Did you tell them about the XYZ thing I told you about with that? Okay, awesome. That's great. Well, listen, we're about 3 months away now. And so, we really should start thinking about getting together so I can tell you what you need to get your home ready for sale, so we can get you a good price, tell you what not to do to get the most amount of money for your home. And then I can go over the costs and fees with getting your home sold. So when can I come over and take a look and get that started, right? And, we start talking, look, if you do this right, it's going to take a couple of weeks to get the home ready and get it out the door, right? So like you want to make sure that you get it, you're continually staying in touch with them. You've got a handwritten note out there. You've talked to them about the wedding, right? Howard Brinton used to tell, and Howard Brinton unfortunately passed away, but he was one of the best coaches earlier on in the 70s and 80s. And, he used to talk about the Ford method, which is, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. It's not new. It's nothing new. It's nothing like, amazing and new, but it works. Family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. I call you, I get your timing and motivation. I grab one OUI, one unique piece of information by using Ford. The next time I call, I use that piece of information to ratchet up the rapport. I get one more OUI from Ford, and I keep doing that, and I keep collapsing time, and building that relationship. Okay? By the way, pretty much every lead source but referrals converts at about a 1 to 3% rate. Nurtures convert at about an 8% rate. Pretty significant, okay? So take that for checking. Now, keys for success, long-term success in phone sales. Make sure you keep a consistent schedule. The less business you are doing, the more prospecting you need to be doing. In Shift, Gary Keller did like a little graph, and there was a graph that went like this, and there was a graph that went like that, and they matched each other as they went forward. So it was like this, okay? And basically, the top one was money, and the bottom one was prospecting. It basically said the more money somebody has, the less prospecting they do. And the less money they have, the more prospecting they do. And so what I'm telling you is that if you want to make sure that you have few or no gaps in income, you've got to talk to people consistently. Okay. You may have to be doing 16 to 21 hours as your business grows, but as it gets busy, maybe only do an hour. Right. And you should always have at least, 3 to 5 people in your past client sphere database that you're talking to every day on a quarter-over-quarter basis. Okay. Make time for yourself and your family. For the life of me, and this is part of what ruined my marriage is, I was all work all the time. You know what I'm saying? And we didn't have cell phones back then. We had pagers. So if I wanted to talk to somebody I couldn't get in touch with, I'd stop off at a local gym. I'd stop off at a restaurant. I remember one time I got in a lot of trouble. We were at a restaurant called the Modern Restaurant. It's no longer around, but I said I'll be right back, and I went to the front desk and asked if I could borrow their phone, and I ended up having almost a 15-minute conversation with a prospect. I don't recommend that, by the way. We have cell phones now, but that didn't go over well for the restaurant or my ex-wife. But I sold the house, probably not so good anymore. But the whole point is make time for your family. And here's the thing, right? Don't be a knucklehead. You make time for your family. Every one of us, including myself, you can turn your phone off for an hour. Okay, the world's not going to fall apart. Virtually everything in real estate can wait an hour. You have dinner with your wife or your kids, your husband, whatever. Turn your phone off, put the damn thing in a drawer, and give your family the attention that they deserve. Same thing when you're at work, you're working, right? But you're and the important thing is that you're pouring into the people that you love, because you're asking the people that you love to give you a pass on longer days and busier days and building this thing. You've got to pour into them. The flip side of this is when you're at work, so you're not chewing the fat with your wife, your girlfriend, your husband, your boyfriend, whatever it is. You're really working. But when you're doing things with your family, you put your dang phone down so that you can build that relationship with them. And God forbid, but let's just say a great opportunity comes into town on a Friday night and you've got a standing date night with your wife. You're like, hey, can we move date night to Saturday night instead of night? Because I've got a really good buyer coming into town. Be beneficial for us. It's a lot easier to ask for that one-off and work that one-off if you've been asking and having, building the relationships with them and pouring into them than if you've been basically shutting them down, for the last 6 months. Okay. Also, you need to be working in personal development, right? Real estate's freaking hard. Okay. It's a lot of work. It's an ass whipping. The treatment you get from clients, the number of offers you put in that get rejected. It's a business where you're going to always get more no's than yeses. Like, you've got to keep your mind right. Back in, they call it, there's a terminology called keep your powder dry, right? Back in, the Revolutionary War, they had to pour gunpowder, whatever powder, into their guns so that they could shoot, right? And so if your powder got wet, it doesn't spark to make the explosion, to make, at that time, the slug come out. But keep your powder dry. You should be reading a good book. And listen, business book, but also personal development books. You should be doing some mindful meditation, okay? Making sure that you're keeping your mind strong to let crap, finding its way in. Do some affirmations, okay? Make sure you exercise. Also, you have to practice. You're not going to get any better if you don't practice. If you hate role playing, then you're going to hate prospecting. If you hate prospecting, you're going to be taking a job at Bank of America. Okay, the season of the real estate business we're going into is not going to be an easy one, but is going to be a very profitable one for those who can make it through it. Because all the folks right now that are the best, the most successful, the most financially secure real estate agents, many of them are the ones that went through the Great Recession and fought through it and made the calls and built the relationships and scrapped and scraped and fought to get to the other side, so that when the market finally picked up, between the high of the market and when the market tanked, the market lost almost 400,000 agents. So when the market picked up, all these people who were here and who made it and who have been sticking around and fighting and making calls and building their business, like, they got rich because there was a lot fewer agents in the marketplace. Plus, they knew how to handle anything that came up, and they put themselves in position for success. Okay, so work on yourself, work on your business. Be humble and open to feedback. Have goals. My favorite saying: consistent action doesn't always produce consistent results, but it does produce success. And we talked about it earlier: track, adjust, like the old shampoo bottle, lather, rinse, repeat. So let's talk numbers here. I just gave you some basic numbers. On average, in a market like this, you're going to have to make 20 contacts to a buyer to get an appointment. On the listing side, it's going to be somewhere between 50 and 60. So you take this for starters, okay? And, my goal would be 10 contacts a day, but no less than 5 contacts a day, right? Every 20 contacts is going to get you an appointment, usually. Every 40 contacts is going to get you 2 appointments and a client. And every 60 contacts is going to get you 3 appointments, 2 clients, and a sale. All right? If you made 5 contacts a day, technically that means you could get a sale roughly every day, every 12 days or so. Let's just call it every 15 days. So that'd be 2 sales a month. All right? I think it may be a little aggressive, but I think you can make it happen. Because what happens is the beginning's tough, because that's when you're doing all the shoveling and the hammering and the nailing and you're building the foundation. But as you talk to people and start building nurtures and people start popping back up, now you're not talking to everybody brand new, right? You're talking to some people you've had 2, 3, 4 communications with them. You know what I'm saying? And as a result of that, you're going to go ahead and really start building a nice pipeline for yourself. And so if you extrapolate this out, 220 contacts per month. Yeah, just like I talked about. Yeah. At 60 contacts, it's going to be 3.67 sales a month. And this should be 110 in a smaller number, half of that, 30. It's going to be 1.83 sales. So listen, if you can make a requisite number, a decent number of contacts every month, I promise you great things are going to happen to you in your business, but you've got to get through that. I've got a little time here if you want to ask some questions, but listen, I can't explain this any differently. You need to get on the phone to build your business. There's no way around it. And if you don't like the phone, that's okay. You don't have to like the phone, but you have to know that it's there to help you be successful. And I don't, the people I help get over call reluctance, I don't make it so they love the phone. I make it so they love what getting on the phone does for them. I make it so that they have a huge why that they would walk through walls for. Right? I help them find out what motivates them and things that are important, and then help give them their why, because your why, when you have a true why, when you know what your why is, you will walk through fire to make it happen. Okay. So anyway, this is the nuts and bolts of being super. I'll do whatever it takes. I love that. But here's the thing. these are the nuts and bolts of running a successful prospecting campaign. It's not brain surgery. Otherwise, I couldn't teach it to you. Again, I've talked to lots of folks. If you want, go to my website, okay, and just go ahead and grab 15 minutes and let's talk. You need help with prospecting. You need help with building your pipeline. You need help with getting your head right, whatever it is. You grab 15 minutes in my calendar. We'll chat. I'm not going to sell you a darn thing. You want to talk about what I do, great. But if you don't, then that's no problem. All right. Well, look, awesome seeing you guys. This is number 3 out of 5. So we got 5 more emotional mastery opportunities coming up. There's some good stuff as far as helping you folks get your head in the game and keep your head in the game. As always, be super kind to yourself. And that's it. Next time we'll see you on the phone. Take care.
Hey there, this is Wally Bressler, and on behalf of my guest today, I'd like to thank you for joining us for this episode of On the Phone. If you'd like more information on how to overcome sales call reluctance, procrastination, and self-sabotage, and become an expert on the phone, go to www.phonesalessecrets.com. And if you'd like my free course on how to overcome sales call reluctance, please go to www.phone